The following thoughts on Happy Hour do not represent Cox Media Group or its sponsoring. Anything you hear may and will be used against you. Thank you. Voted as best local podcast in Tampa Bay by the Creative Loafing. You're listening to Happy Hour.
Are you feeling classy today? Sit down, pour a glass of wine, and listen to Happy Hour.
You're tuned in to Happy Hour, an hour where Hoppy rants about something. Sit back and listen in. Happy Hour is on now. Happy Hour is on now.
What up? What is happening? This is Happy Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe, and I am very honored about my next guest. You may have heard him on the Opie and Jimmy show on Opie Radio or his show, The Bonfire. Dan Soder is on the line right now. What's up, dude?
Hey, buddy. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I've been a big fan, dude. I actually heard you the first time you were on Opie and Anthony, man. So I've been a huge fan for the past probably 4 years. So this is an honor to have you on the show.
Oh, dude, thanks, man. Yeah, those guys are great to me, Opie and Anthony. They still are. You know, I do both of their shows. And, yeah, man, as a comic growing up, that was like one of my favorite shows, and in a way I learned about like a lot of my favorite comics. So it's kind of be cool. It's cool to kind of be mentioned in the same breath that, you know, all those guys.
What was it like the first time you went on Opie and Anthony? How nervous were you, or were you in the zone when this was all going down?
I mean, no, I think you'd be kind of a fucking sociopath if you weren't nervous. Like, I was crazy nervous.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I listened, I was a fan of the show, so I knew how it could be if it didn't go well. So, you know what? It was great. It was a lot of fun just to go in and just have fun hanging out with those guys. And you know, I still have fun every time I go and hang out with on either show.
What I love about you when you're on the air is it's just a bunch of guys talking, being laid back. There's no bits. There's no fake prank calls. It's just you, Opie, and Jimmy, or you and Anthony just being a bunch of guys. It's sort of like being at the bar and a bunch of guys are just drinking a beer, talking.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's something that Big J and I definitely do on the Bonfire. Is that's like, you know, that's like just a real friendship that people are just listening in on. Like Jay and I, that's how Jay and I talk to each other whenever we're just hanging out. So it's kind of awesome that Comedy Central Radio has given us a show to kind of just do whatever we want to do.
How did you first get this show, and how did you first meet Jay?
I met Jay through just the stand-up community of New York, just going out and doing shows. And Jay's like, you know, Jay's one of those guys where you never forget the first time you see Big J.
Yeah.
So fucking funny.
What was it about him that drew you in? Because he's one of the funniest guys out there.
I mean, I don't think that's really, I mean, you know, what everyone gets drawn into Jay. It's not what draws you in. He's just so fucking funny. It's just off the top of his head, the quickest guy I've ever seen in my life. So it's just fun to, you know, and then him and I ended up getting on the same shows as him, becoming friends with him, bullshitting with him, sitting outside smoking cigarettes, that kind of thing. And then Jay and I just had this, we just have a lot of fun bullshitting with each other. And finally his girlfriend Christine was like, you guys need to do a radio show. And I had, you know, been a guest on a lot of podcasts, especially Bobby Kelly's, you know what, dude. That was kind of like the closest I've ever came to having my own podcast. So finally I just talked to Jay and we were like, let's do a podcast. And somehow word, at the Dave Attell Comedy Underground taping, word got to Comedy Central was there, and word got. I was talking to one of them, and somehow it got brought up, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we have an unreleased podcast," and they were like, "Don't release it. Let's see if we can do it as a radio show." And it took a long time, but it finally happened.
How did your first few shows go? Because I've been doing this podcast for 3 years now, and I've been on the radio as well. And it's just weird when you first do it because you don't know what to say and you don't get into the flow of things. So how long did it take it before you guys saw that it was beginning to gel?
Well, we were lucky to have done about 10 or 11 podcast episodes without releasing them. So no one saw us, and that was kind of a conscious effort on my part. And, you know, Jay agreed that we should do about 10 episodes to find our rhythm. And so we were kind of lucky that we had done these about 10 episodes, and then Comedy Central offered us 6 trial episodes. So by the time we got to our first trial episode, it was already, you know, pretty much like our 16th episode, so we were already rolling. So it was nice just to go in there and kind of just have good, I haven't listened back to those first 6 shows when it was, disgustingly called the Soder Show, but I think they were somewhere up on YouTube. But I think those shows are, pretty much almost the same as the Bonfire is right now. It was the same attitude. It was the same kind of fucking around. It was a lot of fun,
Is it one of those things where do you listen to your show after you record it, or do you just know that it was good? What do you do with that?
I never listen. I don't think I've listened. I've listened back to specific parts. If someone will be like, "Oh, this joke," and I won't remember it, to go back and hear a joke. Yeah. But no, I can't listen to myself. Whether it be, I have a hard enough time listening to myself do stand up, and that's much more controlled than podcast and radio. And that's like, I do stand up every night, and I have a hard time going over my notes and fucking that kind of shit. So no, I'm not good at that.
Do you ever burn out, dude? Because you are such a hardworking guy. You do shows every night. You do radio all the time. Do you ever feel yourself burning out? Like, I do pizza on the side. I work promotions at the Bone, and I do a podcast. And there's just so much time in the day that I respect what you do, man. So do you ever feel like you're burnt out?
No way, man. Because, I was just like you. I was doing, I worked for 5 years. I worked for radio in 7 years. And I did overnights for the first 5 years, and then I also worked at Bed Bath & Beyond, and then I went and did comedy, and I was doing radio. So by the time I've gotten here, and by the time that I'm just allowed to just do stand-up and, do the radio show and act, it really is it's egotistical for me to call it work. Yeah. Because I don't think that's what it is. I think I'm very lucky to get paid to be an asshole, on radio and on stage. So it's just it really isn't. I think you do feel fatigued, but I think fatigue is just comes from doing a lot of stuff, which you're lucky to be busy in this business. So I just try to understand that this is just fatigue, and then I need to treat that. And, I take a night off on Sundays. Sundays are kind of my days to just get stoned and watch football and play around. That's just kind of what I like to do. And then, try to go back out there. Because I think the best part about this job is, getting to do the job. The job is the best part. So you want to work.
Don't you think it gets to some guys' heads? Like, I don't make a ton of money doing this show, but I love it so much. Don't you think it gets to some guys' heads? I mean, at the end of the day, bro, it's just comedy. It's just radio. Don't you agree that in this business that is so small, we have to take the humble approach?
I mean, yeah, I don't, unless it makes your art better, or not art, that's a fucking dumb word to use. Unless it makes your act or your show or what you're producing or what you're creating better. Yeah. If you need a faux chip on your shoulder, then fine. But I think most of the time, this is relatively a pretty easy job to not be an asshole to other people. Yeah. It's pretty simple to not be a dick. And so I think, humility and appreciation really goes a long way. Because, and it's like I said, in the end, you're fucking lucky to be doing this. Yeah. Let's not say any names, but has there ever been a show or a place where you just didn't like to vibe the whole time? And how do you deal with it? Do you just grind through it? Oh, I mean, that happens a lot. Yeah. No, it doesn't happen a lot, but it happens consistently. And I would say that when you find yourself, in a city doing morning radio, and you don't like the DJ, and you can just tell that he doesn't give a shit, and that they've got to deal with the club. Yeah. And that's why you're there to promote your shows. And, this guy, they kind of look at you like you need him to put you over. In reality, you kind of just know it's part of the territory. And what I do, it's like, I'm an only child, so I like Me too. I can entertain myself very well. So if this guy's being a dick, then I'm just going to be funny in a way to make myself entertained, whether it be, kind of making fun of him but still being nice. Yeah. I think that's, there's a way that it's just kind of like, but it's kind of like the way, porn chicks just get dead-eyed when they have to do like an anal scene. Like you just let the shark eyes roll in, and then you just fucking do what you got to do, you know.
Now, going back to the thing where me and you both don't have any siblings, like I grew up by myself. Don't you think that's what makes us so hardworking, is that we just spent our whole life just thinking about what we wanted to do? Is that how it was with you? Because I listened to a lot of radio, and I grew up on like Opie and Anthony, Howard, so that's what influenced me. Is that what happened with you?
I don't know. I think I was always kind of spending my childhood trying to relate to people.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have anybody, you know, and you know that when you're the only child in the house, you kind of just like look around and it's just adults. So you don't really know how to, you relate more to adults than you do to children. So you get around kids and you kind of don't really know how to relate, but you try real hard. So there's like this basic, like, I don't know if that's really my motivation for why I want to do what I want to do. I know it's definitely my motivation for why I love doing comedy, is it's a great way to be able to communicate with people. I know that.
Yeah. Where did you grow up as a kid?
I was born in Hartford, Connecticut, but then my mom moved us to Denver when I was 5, and my dad moved to San Francisco when we moved to Denver. So I lived, you know, I like went to school in Denver and with my mom, and then when I was a kid in the summers and winters, I'd go live in San Francisco with my dad.
What was that like, having one dad in San Francisco and then having your mom in Denver? Was that hard on you, or was it one of the things where you just thought it was a norm since you grew up with that situation?
I think it was a norm up until I became like, my dad started disappearing when I was like 9 or 10. He just kind of started falling off the earth. You know, just kind of not knowing where he was or where he was going or any of that kind of shit. That shit started happening when I was about 9 or 10, and then he died when I was 14. So really, when I was a kid, it kind of stopped abruptly. I think it lasted for about 4 or 5 years.
Is it one of those things, because my dad, he died last November, and it's one of those things where, do you have it where you then look back and realize that they weren't that bad? Like, me and my dad didn't really get along. He's Roman Catholic, waited till marriage to have sex. I'm the opposite about everything. Is it one of those things for you where once they die, then you realize that they were decent dads?
Actually, no, man. I actually had kind of an opposite thing where, I mean, yes, it's my situation's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, yeah, I did feel that at first. At first, I was like, oh, he was a great dad. And then I grew up and got into therapy, and then my therapist was like, yeah, no, he wasn't a good dad. That wasn't good. And you're like, oh, shit, okay. And it kind of, you know, you see how it kind of affects your psychology as far as allowing people to treat you like shit.
Yeah.
Or, you know, allowing people to walk all over you. So, no, I mean, it was kind of a strange, I don't know, man, kind of a little bit of a weird upbringing.
So after that happens, did you like go to school? Did you drop out? Like, what did you do after all this happened in your life?
Dude, my mom was a hard working woman.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, when you talk about being motivated to do what you do, I definitely think it was like, one of the things I always watched was how hard my mom worked, and she fucking hated her job for a little bit. And, like, watching that, I was like, man, I don't ever want that. Like, I don't ever want to fucking hate my job, because that just looked, it was just like, you know, this woman would just come home fucking miserable after taking a beating for fucking 9 hours a day. And then it was like, to me, kind of like, yeah, that just, fuck that noise. So I learned kind of my work ethic from my mom. But, yeah, I went to college. I went to the University of Arizona, and then I started doing stand-up and radio there, and then moved to New York.
Dude, that place is home to the hottest chicks. How did you do at Arizona?
I mean, dude, that's what's hilarious about that. That's like, yeah, there were hot chicks there, but it's hot chicks that wanted nothing to do with me. So it wasn't, people act like it's a fucking, like a Cinemax movie when you go down there. It's not Cheerleader Party 7. It's a bunch of rich girls who don't understand why you don't have a credit card like all of the rich kids from San Diego and Long Island. And you're like, I don't know. So then, you know, which was great because it forced me into, doing radio and stand-up where I found a lot more like-minded people than I was at Arizona.
Now, I'm not the best with girls, so is it one of the things where once you get more into radio or comedy and it forces you to be more social, is that when things begin to groove? Would you say?
As far as stand-up goes?
Or just getting confident in like social situations. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think maturity, but also, with stand-up, man. I'm still pretty bad socially, but, with comics or people I know. I don't know. I mean, I don't really have a hard time being social. I think I'm just very uncomfortable socially.
Yeah.
Like, I like to be alone. I like to be alone, or I like to be around people I know. But, I think stand-up probably definitely helped that. I mean, that's just maturity. That's also, I think, moving to New York brought me out of my shell a lot. I think it was a mixture of a lot of things.
What's that like when you go from a medium to sort of a major market of Denver, you then go to Arizona, but then you're in the big apple of New York City where it's so competitive? Is that what brought your drive to make it?
I moved here not with like that whole pie idea of making it. I think I moved here with the idea of like surviving.
Yeah.
Like if I can fucking survive in this city and be able to do stand-up. Because again, man, like I am the biggest fan of all the tough crowd guys who I basically learned about through Opie and Anthony. So to me, it was like getting to work the cellar, getting to just do like 3 spots in a night and run around and do stand-up and like kind of know everybody and have good jokes. And it's just the whole fucking community here, man. Like right when I moved here, I was like, yeah, this is what I was missing out on my whole life. And I just felt right when I moved here.
Who were some of the guys that helped you? For me, it was guys like BJ Shea, Brother Weeze. And now it's Mike Kelta here at 102.5 The Bone. Those have been some of my mentors that have helped me. Who were some of the names that gave you confidence or gave you advice? Have you had any mentors along the way?
Oh, yeah, man. I think, like, moving here, immediately becoming friends with Joe List and Nate Bargatze and, through them being introduced to, like, Louis J. Gomez and Dave Smith. And then you just kind of create this web of, like, more friends like Mark Norman and Michael Che and Sam Morrill and Chris Stefano. And you're just, like, making all these new Mad Dog Mattern and Anthony. It's like all this guy just blossoms out until you have kind of just this web of things. But as far as mentors go, I would definitely say, Joe DeRosa was one of the first people, like him and Nate Bargatze were like the first 2 people to take me on the road with him. Joe introduced me to Bobby Kelly, who kind of became like in a weird way, like a de facto big brother.
Yeah.
And, through Bobby, I got to meet, Colin and DePaulo, and even through Joe List, I met Nick DePaulo. So, I mean, it really just, the comedy scene kind of meshes into itself. But that's what's so great about it. That's what I love so much about the New York comedy scene.
Isn't it unreal when you end up having mentors that are big names? I mean, some mentors I have are like Mike Kelta, Brother Weeze, BJ Shea, guys that are big names in radio. Isn't it unreal that for us it becomes a norm that I'm talking to Mike Kelta or you're talking to Nick?
Yeah, man.
Isn't it unreal?
I got to open for Nick at the Gramercy Theater about a month ago.
Yeah.
And it was in October 17th, I got to open for him. And just sitting in the green room talking to Nick DePaulo and then, about college football or whatever, but then doing the show and after the show, him complimenting jokes and shit. It was surreal. Just as it is, when I'm talking to Colin Quinn or talking to, I remember like the first time Bill Burr and I don't really know Bill Burr, but he's one of my favorite comedians of all time. And I remember him texting me about something, and I was like, "What the fuck? That's like just looking at my phone, like that's crazy." That's a guy who's influenced me, and I got to meet Jon Stewart this week, so it's kind of interesting, even just to meet the guys that you're like, you just felt so far away from for so long. It's kind of nice, and it's kind of that's in itself its own reward.
Isn't it weird that when you meet the big names, you think they're like larger than life, but when you meet them, they're just dudes that are just famous and have a ton of money. Isn't it weird how we grow up listening to them or watching them, and once you meet them, you're like, wow, that dude's really cool.
Well, I think what it is for me, the humanity of it all really makes me like, oh, this guy's got problems. This guy's got stresses. This guy's not probably happy with what he's doing. You know, it's really, I think in a kind of in a fucked up way, it kind of makes you feel better for being insane. It makes you feel like, oh, okay, other people are insane. People who shouldn't be insane are insane. So it's just nice.
Yeah, dude, it's one of those things where when I first did my podcast and I would rant, I wasn't sure if I was doing it right, because you go, am I going to make it? Am I good? But then once you get people who are legit that say you are good, isn't that what helps you want to grind even more? Because, dude, people that are in comedy or people that act any type of creative thing, we're fucking insane, dude. We're not normal.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think any human really is normal.
Yeah.
But I think, I definitely think we're definitely wired differently. I think it's a different kind of, a thing.
Now, you're in the spotlight. You're on one of the biggest shows, Opie and Jim Norton. What comes with that is being on social media, and the fans in real life come up to us and they compliment us. But isn't it ridiculous how these pussies just hide behind the keyboard and talk smack? Like, it doesn't bother me. It just fascinates me, Dan, that they just have no lives, you know?
I look at it from the sense of, like, if it makes them feel better, good for them. Like, I don't know. They don't know me. They don't know me as a person. I don't know them as a person. I don't know what fucking shit they're going through, but it's apparently enough for them to, try to hurt someone's feelings that they don't know. But I don't really give a shit about all that. I think that's part of the internet that'll hopefully just kind of, I don't think it will, but I want it to drift away. Just kind of like, don't fucking, just try to be nice. Try to be nice. But anyways, dude, I got to get going.
All right, man. Where can people find your work online and on the radio?
Sirius Channel, Comedy Central Radio, Sirius XM 95. Mondays and Wednesdays for the Bonfire with myself and Big J Okerson. And then dansoder.com, which is being rebuilt, so it's kind of a mess right now. But you can follow me on Twitter at Dan Soder.
Well, Dan, I've been a huge fan for 4 years now, so these 25 minutes have been an absolute honor and a blast.
Yeah, well, thanks, man. Thanks for having me on, dude. It was great talking to you.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Dan.
All right, take it easy.
All right, bye. And that was Dan Soder, who I am a huge fan of. I remember I first heard him on O&A, and I'm a big fan of radio, and one of my favorite shows is Opie and Jim. And he is one of the frequent guests on there. And whenever I see that they tweet out on their account that he's coming on, it makes my day, man. I mean, I'm a huge fan of comedy. I'm a huge fan of radio. I can list off so many shows. And what I like about Dan is he's dirty, he's edgy, but he doesn't force it. He just speaks the truth. And his show that he does on Comedy Central Radio is so damn good, The Bonfire. This dude is one of the up-and-coming comedians. I mean, he's already made it. He's already a big name. But I love when he's on Guy Code. I love when he is on Opie and Jim Norton, the Anthony Cumia show. I mean, the dude is just absolutely hilarious. It was one of those things when I was sitting here, I couldn't believe my ears. Like, Dan Soder was on my podcast, one of my favorite podcasts. I mean, it's just humbling that people who have made it, people who are big names would come on a small podcast. Yeah, I won an award here in Tampa Bay. But that they would call in. And he remembered to call in too. I mean, he was so busy. He got back to me on Facebook, and I wasn't sure if he would be able to call in. And if he wouldn't have been able to, I wouldn't have been mad whatsoever. I completely get it. But the fact that he remembered, he took the time to grab his cell phone, call this number, and talk to me for 25 minutes is an absolute honor. That was a blast. So go to dansoder.com, follow him on Twitter, and check out his show on Comedy Central Radio, The Bonfire, and on Opie and Jim Norton on Opie Radio. Go to SiriusXM.com to subscribe, just like me. Go to my app in the Google Play Shop and the iPhone Shop. If you're a fan of Dan and this is the first time you've heard Hoppe Hour, all 31 of my interviews are on my app. You can listen to my show live, and you can listen to all my rants. Go to hopperadio.com. We are reformatting the show, Ryan at hopperadio.com, and that's about it. This has been Hoppe Hour. I am your host, Ryan Hoppe, saying peace out.
Hoppe Hour. Hoppe Hour.
This is an official broadcast of Hoppe Radio. For more info, check out hopperadio.com and hoppesworld.com.